Put your drink down.
You don't have to.
My name is Brandon Thompson. This is for Professor Mojet's Communication 1. This is my persuasive speech. My topic, based off of our informative speech, mine was on natural disasters. I chose to go with kids and PTSD. I feel this is a subject that is underutilized right now and not really talked about. On November 8th, 2018, a small fire started near the small town of Polka, California. This would eventually become known as the Camp Fire, which ravaged the town of Paradise. What a lot of people don't know is the entire town was there. Kids were in school, ready to go, in their classroom, having fun. Later on, they were told to get on a bus. Hopefully they would make it out of town. There are multiple accounts coming out now from the teachers of having to counsel these kids through this dangerous situation. Unfortunately, there is no counseling set up for these kids afterwards. Kids are more susceptible to PTSD than adults. They don't have the coping mechanisms designed to deal with what happened. By not having these, we're letting our kids down in California. And I think that we, as Californians, need to step up and create something in the school system to help these kids out. If it's not a natural disaster, it's other issues going on in their lives that they need to talk about, and they need to have an open place to do that. Statistics. This was done 2 years before the Camp Fire. Numbers have gone up from what I can find online. This was the most solid information that I could find. Children ages 2 to 17 years old, 13.9% have been exposed to a disaster in their lifetime, while 4.1% of the sample reported experience in a disaster in the past year alone. Those are quite phenomenal numbers when you think about the amount of kids that we have in California and our population in general. If we don't help our youth out now and early on with PTSD and all forms of stress related to a natural disaster, we're setting them up for failure, unfortunately. They have more likely to lead to unfavorable outcomes in their life, whether that be drugs, alcohol, or other decisions that could affect them and affect Californians in general. If we don't help the next generation, who will? We need to provide counseling support either by an outside specialist or for those who can make that happen, or for the less fortunate, we need to have counseling at schools available to the students when they want, when they need it. Some of the signs, so you all know, of kids and PTSD. It manifests different than it does with adults. These are just some of the things that you can see, find. If you see these, it's good to intervene early on so you can treat the issues versus letting it happen and get worse possibly. As of now in California, most schools have one counselor for the entire school. This does not include high school guidance counselors. This is just psychological or psychiatrist style counselors. In a school like Del Oro High School of 1,600 students, that's one counselor who can take care of 1,600 students. That's not feasible, unfortunately. As much as we like to think that it might help, it's really not, because they're not able to reach out to the majority of the students. So we, as Californians, need to find a way to add at least one more counselor per school to help out. Research has found that any of a wide range of psychological interventions was better than no intervention when it came to improving PTSD symptoms in children and adolescents. What that means is we need to really get another counselor or more counselors available to schools, whether it be a district-wide counseling system or individuals at the schools themselves. Without support, kids are more likely to turn to drugs, alcohol as ways to cope with the stress and anxiety left over from a natural disaster they experienced. Again, we need to support this. If we do, we can make a difference in our kids' lives and eventually make a difference in California. Thank you.